The slap came like thunder. Chief Imba's palm cracked against Obadiah's cheekbone with the fury of a god betrayed. Silence fell like death in the boardroom, broken only by the trembling breath of Ifananya. Before continuing this wonderful story, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments. I read every comment of yours, and if this story touched your heart, please consider subscribing to my channel and keep the notifications. Let's continue. Standing frozen beside the man who had just destroyed everything, she had begged him not to do it. She had warned him about the storm that brewed behind Chief Imba's calm eyes. But Obadiah looked the chief in the face and said the unthinkable. "Take your shares and go." Now Ifananya's head spun. Why would a man hand over 69% of his company for a woman he barely knew? A single mother, an office cleaner turned administrator. A woman with scars too deep to hide. Outside the office she snatched her hand away. "Tell me what just happened, Obadiah. Why did you do that? I don't matter. I'm not your fiancé. I'm not your blood. I'm nobody." But Obadiah just stood there, jaw clenched, cheek burning, eyes locked on something beyond her. Something far away. She kept going. "I have children. I'm not trying to die. Do you know who Chief Mbai is? That man is the devil dressed in Agburda. He will crush you. He'll burn this whole city down just to get revenge. And now I'm part of that mess?" She was pacing now, her wrapper flaring in the wind, tears catching in her throat. "I've already written my resignation. Please, let me go. This can't be. Because of me. Don't throw your life away." And then he spoke. Calm, lair, certain. "You are my good omen, Ifananya. With you beside me, I can finally be free." Her heart clenched. And then he added, like a blade, "If you walk away now, I'll resign too, and start something new with you." She blinked, stunned. The earth didn't shake. But inside her chest, the ground cracked open. Ifanya's world felt like dust, soft, unstable, dangerous beneath her feet. They were standing outside the office gates, the scent of roasted maize floating in from the street. Children's laughter echoed from somewhere far, far away, too far to matter. Her own voice trembled as she spoke again. "Obadiah, why me?" But he didn't answer with words. He stepped closer, eyes dark with truth, and then, quietly, without warning, he cupped her face and kissed her. Not a kiss of passion, a kiss of defiance, of war. Ifananya pulled back like she'd touched fire. Her fingers rose to her lips in disbelief. "You're mad," she whispered. "Completely mad." He smiled faintly. "Yes, mad enough to finally live for myself. You don't know what you've done. That man, Chief Mba, he'll come for blood. Let him," Obadiah said. "Let him know I'm not afraid." She shook her head violently. "I have 2 daughters, Obadiah. I don't have room for fantasy. I don't want to be the reason a man like you burns everything down. I've seen what love does to people. It makes them blind. And then it leaves them bleeding." Her hands were trembling. Her whole body was. Obadiah reached out, but she stepped back. "Don't. Please. I've heard too many promises. And I'm not about to lose the only thing I've ever protected, my children." His voice dropped, almost a whisper. "They talk about you, Ifananya, in the office. How hard you work, how quiet you are. But I see it, the fire in you. You walked into my life with 2 small shadows and changed everything." "I didn't ask to," she said. "No," he agreed. "But maybe you're the answer I never asked for." She turned to walk away, didn't look back. But her heart did. The house was dim when she entered. The light was out in one socket. The fan whispered like a tired gossip. And there, perched on her bed with arms folded, was Nkem, her oldest friend, Her mirror. What happened to you? Nkem asked before Ifananya even opened her mouth. I don't want to talk about it, she replied. Ah, that means it's serious. Ifananya dropped her bag. The wooden floor groaned beneath her. She moved like a spirit lost between sleep and memory. He kissed me, she muttered. Who? Nakem leaned forward. Obedi? Obey Chinike? The same man whose fiancé looks like she can slap thunder back to the sky? Ifananya nodded once. Did he do it in secret? No, she said. In public. In front of the staff. Silence thickened the air. Nkem whistled low. This one has finished you. Ifananya sat beside her, eyes vacant. I'm scared, Nkem. This isn't a love story. It's a trap. A test. His father-in-law owns most of that company. His fiancée, rude, rich, and wicked. And I'm just a single mother with 2 girls who eat Gary and beans. Like it's jollof. Nkem touched her hand gently. That he chose you. That's what scares me the most. She looked at the cracked wall across from her. The fan blade squealed once, then spun slower. No man has ever stayed, Nkem. They all want what's under the wrapper. Then they vanish. Obadele says he loves me, but love doesn't fix curses. A quiet pause. You think you're cursed? Nkem whispered. If not, Ifananya said, why would every good thing come with a sword? They sat in silence. Then softly, Fananya added, and the worst part, my daughters. They adore him already. Nkem inhaled sharply. Love was no longer a flame, it was a forest fire, and Ifananya was trapped inside it. The knock came at sunset. Ifananya was slicing new jegu leaves in the kitchen, her hands working on instinct, while her mind danced through shadows. The girls had gone quiet after school, curling beside the small radio and singing old church songs. But the knock pulled her breath to her throat. She opened the door slowly. Obadele, and behind him, Chimamanda and Chidia, smiling with their teeth, holding groundnut brittle and waving at her like nothing was broken. She froze. He smiled. They came to the office looking for you. I thought I should bring them home. The girls ran inside, laughing, telling stories as though war wasn't hovering at the edge of their lives. Ifananya stepped out, shutting the door behind her. You shouldn't be here. Obadele's voice was soft. I know. You're dragging my daughters into this. They're already part of it. She sighed. Why can't you leave me out of your rebellion? He didn't answer that. Instead, he asked a question that struck her like thunder. Have we met before? Before that restaurant? She blinked. What? You feel familiar, like a name I once forgot to write down. Ifananya frowned. You asked me that before. I know, but something's not adding up. Every time I look at you it feels like a story I was supposed to remember. I cleaned houses back in university, she said. Maybe you were one of them. Maybe, he said. But his eyes said no. His eyes said deeper. They stood in silence. The wind tugged at her wrapper. She didn't move. I'll go, he said finally. But I'll be back. This isn't finished. And then he turned, walking into the dusk, leaving her heart full of smoke. Inside, the girls were still singing. Obadele didn't sleep that night. Sleep was for those without demons knocking at their gates. The next morning, as the sun pulled its pale robe over Inigu, his phone rang. It was his father. The voice on the other end wasn't calm. It was war in syllables. There is fire on the mountain. Come home. Now. He barely had time to ask questions. The line went dead. His chest tightened. He drove through the morning haze past orange hawkers and cakey horns, heart pounding against the steering like a hidden drum. By the time he reached the family compound, his father was waiting, with a slap that shattered the last of Obadiel's boyhood. You've ruined us, Baba shouted. Obadiel held his face, stunned. What are you talking about? Chief Imber had been there, Baba said, roaring like a wounded lion. He had a video. A video? Obadiah repeated. Baba shoved the phone into his hand, and there it was, grainy, old but real. His face. A girl. Blood. Youth. Chaos. A ghost from the past, reborn. Obadiah stared at it like it was a knife to the soul. No, Baba. This happened years ago. I was drunk. It was Kachi's birthday. She never filed anything. I didn't even know her age. I wasn't in my senses. Baba's voice shook the rafters. You think the world cares about your senses? This video is enough to bury you alive. And now you want to go against Chief Mob. Ubedali's mother wept in the background, clutching a rosary like a lifeline. My son, what have you done? And yet, Ubedali's eyes were steel. I will not marry a Nomi, he said. The room fell silent. I will not be controlled. If prison is my price, let them build my cell in gold. He walked out, leaving his family in shreds. His next stop, Kachi. He needed answers. Kachi's compound was filled with lies. They sat on the benches, grew in the cracks between the walls, hung from the old mango tree like forgotten prayers. Obadiah arrived like a storm. Kachi opened the door, all teeth and fake surprise. Oba, my brother. Long time, come in. Come in. But Obadiah didn't sit. He didn't smile. He punched him. The blow sent Kachi stumbling back against the wall, gasping. Oba, what is wrong with you? You gave Chief Ma that video, Obadiah growled. What video? Kachi coughed, holding his jaw. I don't know. Another punch, more honest than words. Kachi's voice cracked. Okay, stop, please. I didn't give it to him directly, he offered me money. I was broke. It was just an old file. I didn't think he'd actually... Oba, please. Obadiah stepped back. His heart was boiling, but his mind was clear. You were my brother, my best man. You were there that night. You knew I didn't know she was underage. I thought she wasn't. Kachi cried. I didn't know either. Obadiah stared at him. Why now? Why sell me now? Kachi looked away. You threatened his empire, Oba, that contract. If you close it, Chief Mayor becomes powerless. He'd rather destroy you than lose control. Obadiah exhaled slowly. So this was war then. Give me her name, he said coldly. The girl. I don't have it. I swear she left that night and disappeared, changed her number. Changed everything. Obadiah turned and left, not defeated. Just certain now. Certain that this wasn't just business or betrayal. This was blood debt. Ifoniania hadn't seen her mother in 11 years. Not since the day she walked out of Arbor with a child on her back and shame in her womb. The phone call was short. Her voice had trembled. Mama, I need you. Can you come to Enugu? And Mama had answered with the kind of love only time could stretch without breaking. I'm coming first thing in the morning. Now, as Ifonia swept the front yard in the cool morning light, her daughters giggling behind the gate, a faded wrapper appeared at the bend, and there she was, Mama Izini, the woman whose silence had once broken bones. She dropped the broom. Her hands found her mouth. The past stood before her with grey in its hair and tears in its eyes. They didn't speak. They just held each other. Inside, the twins jumped into their grandmother's arms, as though their blood had always known her. Laughter bloomed, but in Ifananya's heart, clouds still gathered. She sat Mama down and told her everything about Obadiah. The kiss, the threats, the shares, the daughters of danger and the father of shadows. Mama listened, nodding, stirring her tea like it was ancient medicine. Finally, she spoke. Men like Chief Maba fight with fire, but women like us, we fight with the rain. Quiet, patient, but we always return. Ifananya wiped her face. Mama, I'm scared. He's rich. He's loud. I just want peace. Mama Azini leaned closer. Then stop running from your fire. Maybe you are not here to escape the storm. Maybe you are the storm. And in that moment, Ifananya didn't feel like a cleaner. She felt like thunder with bare feet. Obedele returned to his apartment that night, hollowed out. The wind had shifted. Even the curtains moved differently, slower, sadder, as if they knew the weight of what he now carried. He walked past the contract papers on his desk, past the untouched wine bottle he once bought for a celebration that never came. He sat by the window watching the rain begin. It didn't fall. It wept. His mother had called again. Her voice was small. He's furious, Oba. Chief Umba says if you don't marry Onome, he'll leak the tape. And you know the courts won't care what state you were in. He's pulling strings already. Obedele didn't speak. He just listened to the thunder. Then, another voice in his mind. Ifananya's voice. The only one that didn't echo shame. She had stood beside him, even in silence. Her hands had trembled, but her eyes had not. She hadn't run when he kissed her. Not then, at least. But he had seen it, that small crack behind her eyes. The fear that whispered, "He's going to ruin everything. And you'll be the reason." Obedele stood. He picked up his phone and typed a message. "Ifananya, you deserve peace. I will give it to you. I'm going to step back. Protect your daughters. Protect your name. Even if I burn." He hit send. And it was done. In the distance, the streetlights flickered. The sky swallowed the last of the stars. And Obadi, the man who once held an empire, closed his eyes. Sometimes love doesn't leave. It's pushed away. Ifananya didn't sleep, not after that message. Her phone still pulsed with the words, "Even if I burn." She'd read it 10 times. 100. She'd memorized the rhythm of regret in it. He was letting her go. He thought that was protection. He thought distance was love's armor. But all she felt was a quiet scream echoing in her ribs. At dawn she bathed in silence, wrapped her old brown wrapper. Not the bright one, the dull one. The one she wore only when she buried something. Her pride, her future, her almost maybe love. Mama Izini watched her move about the house. "You're dressing like someone going to war without weapons." "I am," Ifananya said. "Where are you going?" "To the office," she whispered. "To submit my resignation." Mama shook her head. "You're not a leaf, Ifananya. Stop being blown by the winds of other people's storms." Ifananya didn't answer. She walked past her daughters, kissed their foreheads. "Be good for Grandma," she said. "Mummy just needs to go fix something." The walk to the office was long. She passed Okada men arguing over fare. A goat tied too close to the gutter. Life, uncaring, she clutched the envelope in her hand like a coffin. But when she stepped through the office doors, she froze. Security guards were everywhere. The reception was in chaos. Staff whispering, eyes darting, avoiding her gaze. "Obedele's office is locked," someone whispered. "He's gone. Gone." She turned to the receptionist. "Where is he?" The girl looked down. "He withdrew his shares. This morning. The board is in shock. Chief Mba is taking over." Ifananya staggered back. He had done it, he had burned it all down, and now she was standing in the ashes. Chief Mba didn't wait. By noon his black SUV was parked outside Ifananya's compound. The engine hummed like a waiting predator. Mama Azini saw it first through the kitchen window. "Child," she said softly, "the devil has come dressed in polish." Ifananya stepped outside. Her back straight, heart trembling like a drum held too tight. A man in a dark suit emerged. Not Chief Mba, but his envoy. He bowed slightly. Madam Ifanani, the chief requests your presence. Her voice was low. I don't work for your chief. Not yet, the man replied with a smile. She followed him, not because she feared, but because she had to know. Chief Mbia sat like a mountain in a leather chair, surrounded by smoke and silence. His fingers were heavy with rings. His eyes were sharp enough to slice pride. Ifanania, he said, you are not as ordinary as you pretend. She remained quiet. You stole my son-in-law from my daughter. And now he has turned against me. Why? Because of you. Her throat tightened. But she said nothing. I admire your spirit, he continued. So I will give you a gift. Leave Enugu. Today, I'll send you money. Start a new life, but stay away from Obadele. Forever. Ifanania stared at him. And if I refuse, his smile dropped, then I will take everything from you. Your children, your mother, your peace. She stood slowly. You can't take what I buried long ago. Then she turned and walked out. Not fast, not afraid. The guards watched her leave. Chief Medi Enati didn't speak, but he wrote a name down in his journal, Ifonanya Ezine, and under it just one word, destroy. That night, Ifananya couldn't sleep. The shadows were loud. The air thick with memory. Her daughters curled beside her on the mattress, small limbs tangled in soft breath. She rose quietly, stepping into the cold corridor. Mama Ezinye was asleep, a worn scarf tied around her head, whispering prayers in her dream. But Ifananya, she was wide awake. She opened the wooden chest at the foot of her bed, the one she never opened. The one that carried her past in folded linen and unanswered questions. Inside it, tucked beneath an old church blouse, she found the letter, yellowed with age. Ink faded, but not forgotten. It was the only thing her mother had left when she vanished from their lives that year in Aba. Ifananya had kept it hidden, even from herself. She opened it now. My daughter, if you ever read this, know that silence is not absence. I left because I had to, not because I wanted to. Your father made me choose between life and you. I chose both by vanishing. But you are fire. You are from a line of storm women. If ever a man dares to use power to cage you, burn the cage. Irena. Ifananya folded the letter with shaking hands. She wasn't weak. She wasn't poor. She was fire-blooded. That same night, she wrote her own letter. Not to resign. To fight. She wrote to the board of directors. She attached a copy of the contract Obadele had left in her safekeeping. The contract that would triple the company's value if completed. The company did not belong to Chief Amai. Not yet. And Ifananya, cleaner mother, daughter of storms, was not done fighting. Obadele hadn't eaten in 2 days. He stayed in an old hotel at the edge of the city, hiding from the public, the press, and himself. The sex tape hung in the air like a ghost. He couldn't exercise. It wasn't just what happened, it was what he didn't do. He never found her. Never asked. Never confessed. Until now, he called an old friend from law school, Ebeli, a woman known for finding people who didn't want to be found. I need to locate a girl, he said. From a party 8 years ago. You're not giving me much, Ebeli replied. She was young, maybe underage. The incident happened at a shortlit near the University of Lagos. Kachi rented it for his birthday. Ebele was silent for a moment. And you want to find her because I need to face her. Whatever comes next, I want the truth. I want to ask for her forgiveness, if she wants to give it. Ebele exhaled. I'll need time. But Oba, not every ghost wants to be seen. Ebele nodded. Then I'll be the one to burn. After the call, he sat in the silence. And then he remembered something strange. At the party, that girl had said something, a name, a surname, Izini. He sat up. Izini, if Onanya's mother's name was Izini. The world tilted. He opened his laptop and started connecting pieces. School records, party attendees, locations. The thread was thin, but it was beginning to pull. If Onanya wasn't just familiar, she was the story. And suddenly, love didn't feel like fate. It felt like punishment. The boardroom smelled of power and perfume. Men in suits, women in tailored blouses. Coffee cups clinking like tiny weapons. Chief Imbai sat at the head of the table, his gold wristwatch gleaming like a crown. He didn't expect her, but Idamania walked in anyway, not in heels, not in lace, in a clean brown gown. Simple, sharp, unapologetic. Who let her in here? Chief Imbai growled. The contract, she said, holding up a file. Obadele left it in my possession. I'm here to present it. The directors turned. Murmurs filled the air. This is not your place, he said coldly. She stared him down. I worked in this building longer than any of you in this room. Sweeping its floors, scrubbing its toilets. I know what blood built this place. And it wasn't yours. One of the younger directors stood. If the contract is real, we must hear her. Chief Mbia slammed his fist on the table. She is a cleaner, not a partner. She is the project lead now. Another member said calmly, Obadele's signed document names her so. Chief Mbia's rage cracked the room open, but the board was listening now. Ifonania placed the folder on the table. You want profit? This deal will triple it. You want loyalty? I've been here in silence for years. Her hands shook, but her voice didn't. I may be a nobody to you, but I carry the legacy of someone who refused to bow. She turned and walked out before they could answer. Outside, she didn't cry. She smiled. In silence, the girl they once ignored had just taken their kingdom by the throat. Abeli called at midnight. Obadele was at a roadside chapel, kneeling before a candle that refused to stay lit. His face was worn, older than the week he'd survived. I've found her, Abeli said. He didn't breathe. She changed her name, changed her town, but her file from the clinic matched. The girl from the birthday party. Obadele braced himself. Was I Fananya? He dropped the phone. The candle went out. The air screamed. The woman he kissed. The woman he loved. The mother of 2 children he adored was the same girl from that night of blood and blackout. He remembered the faint scar under her chin. She had it back then. She has it now. He sank to the ground. His knees hit dust. What kind of fate brings love and ruin in the same body? What kind of God writes stories with this much pain? He called her. She didn't pick up, of course she wouldn't. He had built trust on silence. And now silence had turned to a knife. He drove through Enugu like a madman, wind slapping his face, the city's lights blurry with guilt. When he reached her gate, it was locked. Mama Izini opened it slowly, her eyes full of prophecy. She knows now, she said softly. She saw the file in your drawer. She put the pieces together this morning. Where is she? She's gone to burn her past. Obadele blinked. What? She's gone to find the place where she was broken, Mama Izini said. To end it, or bury herself inside it. He ran. The flame had returned to its forest, and he had to reach it before it consumed her whole. Efanania stood before the house like a ghost staring at its own grave. The shortlet still stood, weathered and worn. A rusted gate. A mango tree that hadn't borne fruit in years. This was the place. This was where she bled. She walked in slowly. The room hadn't changed much, faint mold on the wall. A mirror with a crack down its center. She stood in the middle of the floor and closed her eyes. That night had replayed in her mind 100 times over the years. She had been 17, a cleaner, a cook, just working the party. Kachi had told her to go rest in that room. She had. And then Obadele had entered, drunk, hands soft, voice gentle, but still he had taken. He never forced her, but he didn't ask. The blood came in silence, and then by morning he was gone. Now she understood why. She had buried that night so deep she forgot its shape, until his face brought it back. He hadn't known, but that didn't erase the scar. She sat on the old mattress. Tears came, but they were clean. Not the bitter ones, the kind that say, "I survived." A knock startled her. She turned. It was Obadele. Breathless, shaking. "I know now," he whispered. "I know everything. And I have no excuse. If you want me gone, I'll go. If you want me jailed, I'll walk there myself." She stood slowly. "I wanted to hate you," she said, "but I remembered your face the morning after. You looked more afraid than me." He swallowed hard. "I still bled. You still left. That doesn't change. But I see the man you are now." They stood in silence, and the mattress between them held the weight of a decade. They walked out of that house side by side, not as lovers, not as enemies, as two survivors holding a truth too heavy for one heart alone. By the time they reached Enugu, the news had broken. Chief Mabba had released the tape. It was viral. The media roared. Former CEO implicated in sex tape scandal. Obadele's past comes back to haunt him. Single mother involved. The headlines didn't care for nuance. Ifananya read them all. Her face was calm. Then she called a press conference. The hall was small. Her dress was plain. The crowd expected shame, but they got fire. "My name is Ifananya Izini," she began. "And I am the girl in that video." Murmurs. "I was 17. I was alone. I was bleeding. And he left." Gasps. "But I survived. I built a life. I raised daughters. I loved in silence. And now, I forgive him." Stunned silence. Obadele was seated in the back, head bowed. "But I do not forgive Chief Ma," she continued, "because what he did was not about justice, it was revenge. And I will not let my story be used as a weapon." A single clap. Then two. Then the room erupted. Outside, the city shifted. Not everyone agreed, but no one could ignore her anymore. That night, Obadele came to her house. He brought no flowers, only himself. "If you say no," he said, "I'll disappear. But I came to ask, can we start again?" Ifananya looked at her daughters curled on the mat. Then she opened the door wider. "We don't erase the past," she said. "We build something stronger on top of it." He stepped inside, and the house for the first time in years felt like home. The days that followed were thick with breathless calm, like harmattan after a storm dry but still. Ifananya and Obadele moved like two people learning to walk again. Careful, awkward, but willing. He showed up every morning to help with the twins. He cooked once, burned the okra. She laughed, real laughter. First time in years, one night, he noticed the scar beneath her chin. "From that night?" he asked softly. She shook her head. "No. Childhood. Fell from a mango tree trying to prove I could fly." He smiled. "Did you?" "I did. For 2 seconds." Silence passed between them, warm like an evening fire. Then she said, "You can hold my hand, but not my forgiveness. That comes with time." He nodded. "Then I will hold only what you give." And slowly her fingers met his, not because she forgot the pain, but because she remembered her strength. That night, as the generator hummed and the girls whispered stories in their room, Ifananya sat beside Obadele beneath the neem tree. "Do you believe in second chances?" she asked. He didn't answer with words. He brought out a clay pendant. I carved this from the first wood I ever shaped as a child. It's flawed, cracked, but it still holds. He slipped it into her hand. I don't want to be perfect, he said. I just want to be present. And for the first time Ifenanya let her head rest against his shoulder. Not for protection, not for promise, but for peace. Chief Mba underestimated silence. He didn't know that the quiet ones always gather storm. After Ifenanya's press conference, investigations opened. A whistleblower came forward. A former driver of the chief, with receipts, money trails. Bribes, tape manipulation. The court called it character assassination and attempted corporate blackmail. Obadeli was cleared of legal charges, but his real trial had already taken place at the foot of Ifenanya's door. Chief Mba's influence crumbled like old yam. Investors pulled out. Onome vanished to London. The company board, ashamed, offered Obadeli his seat back. He declined. I've built enough towers for others to claim. Now I want to build a home. Instead he offered a name, Ifenanya. The room gasped. She completed the deal. She faced your shame, and her own. She deserves to lead. They hesitated, until Ifenanya walked in, not in brown this time, in white, calm, powerful. The woman they had tried to ignore now stood where their titles meant nothing. I don't want a crown, she said. Just a seat at the table. They gave her the table, and the keys. Later that evening, she found Obadeli waiting near the roadside sewer stand. She didn't speak. She just handed him a piece of grilled meat. They ate in silence, and smiled with their mouths full. The city hadn't changed, but they had. They didn't want fanfare, no lace, no matching aso-abi, no DJ shouting names over loudspeakers. Their wedding happened under the flame tree behind her house. Mama Izini blessed it with palm oil and prayer. The twins scattered hibiscus petals they had picked themselves. Obadeli wore a cream-coloured kaftan. Ifenanya wore the same wrapper she once chose for resignation. Now ironed. Reborn. They exchanged wooden rings hand-carved. Imperfect. Real. I don't promise perfection, she said. I don't promise control, he replied. I only promise to rise when I fall, she said. I only promise to wait when you run, he whispered. And with those words, two broken rivers merged. Their kiss was soft. Not eager, like the slow breath before sunrise. Guests were few. Nekim cried the most. Chief Mba was not mentioned. Onome wasn't missed. They danced to no music. Only the sound of the wind through neem branches, only the laughter of two daughters watching their mother bloom. Obadeli didn't own a mansion anymore. Ifenanya didn't need saving anymore. Together, they had no empire, but they had peace, and it was enough. Years passed. Chimamanda and Chidera grew like trees, tall, noisy, full of stories. Obadeli taught them how to carve wood. Ifenanya taught them how to bend steel without breaking. They never told the girls everything, but the girls saw enough. They saw how scars could become songs, how mothers could rise without wings. One Harmattan morning, as fog kissed the village rooftops, the twins ran into the room. Mama, Papa, the school form, they want full name. Ifenanya took the paper, paused, wrote slowly. Chidera Izini Obadeli, Chimamanda Izini Obadeli. And just like that, the past, the present, and the promise became one. She looked at Obadeli. He was smiling. Izini, he whispered. She lives on. They stepped outside. The flame tree stood strong. Birds nested in its arms. Ifenanya stood beneath it, holding the paper, holding the silence. Mama, she whispered to the sky. You said burn the cage, I did, and the wind replied, not in words, but in peace. Some stories don't end, They become roots. They become names children carry. They become songs whispered beneath neem trees when no one is watching. And this story, was not about love winning. It was about a woman refusing to lose. If this heart-touching story moved you, don't let it be the last. Like, share and subscribe to my channel and keep the emotions flowing. Another heart-touching story is ready for you to listen and enjoy.